I'd like to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people as the traditional owners and custodians of the land which we are calling in from. We recognise the continuing connection to land, water and culture and pay our respects to elders past and present. Just a little outline of today's session. We'll go through each point. There's some of the slides or some of the points we will speak a little more in depthly about than others. There may be some slides we'll just direct you to our website or other resources. So we'll just start off by doing some introductions. So the Fuse Fund is presented to you by Fuse Darebin. My name is Matt Watson. I'm the senior producer here who works alongside a larger team at Fuse, and my colleague Kenny Waite, who's also in this session, who did some lovely introductions earlier on. Joining us today is the wonderful Jennifer Worthington from Corporate and Community Grants Officer. So Jen is basically the Smarty Grants whiz, and Jen will jump in at any point if there's any kind of specific technical questions around the grant process. Also, we're very happy to say we have Susan and Michelle, who are our lovely Auslan interpreters for the session. So thanks for joining us today, Susan and Michelle. Just a little bit about Fuse. So Fuse is a multi-arts festival that aims to reflect and celebrate what is unique about Darebin. We celebrate and enable creative connections between people and uncover and explore new ideas and spaces. Fuse transforms Darebin into a dynamic hub of creativity. Fuse ignites our vibrant city, bringing artists, communities and audiences to our streets, parks, venues, theatres, galleries, and to our public spaces to immerse ourselves in art, culture, and creativity of all forms. We believe that art is for everyone, and I guess our tagline is Fuse, locally unexpected. If you want to find out more about what Fuse is, you can jump into our website, which is fusedarebin.com.au. Now, a little more about what Fuse is. So the core values of Fuse, these kind of outline our focus within the Fuse team and what we strive for. So First Nations first, artist-led, bold and contemporary, activate our municipality, reflect Darebin's uniqueness, inclusive and creative. And that just kind of, that's a kind of broad outline of I guess our intention and what underwrites the values of Fuse. The more we get into this presentation, the more you'll begin to understand who we are as an organisation and what we represent and what we're striving to achieve. So what is Fuse Fund? So there's Fuse, the Fuse team, and the Fuse Fund. So Fuse Fund seeks to support the development and presentation of arts and cultural projects and events. Just one moment. From Darebin-based artists and community organisations within Darebin's festival Fuse. We have a limited number of grants between $1,000 and $15,000 to award for creative projects and events to be presented as part of Fuse 2025. And that could be for developments or presentations. So if you're going to be applying to deliver a project, so present a project, that could be a show, a theatre show, a music, etc. We'll get into that more as we get along. That would be presented in spring of 2025. And if you're going to be applying for a development that would have a wider time frame, it just would have to take place during 2025. Any questions around that, obviously you could come directly to us and we can kind of help for you to frame frame your application and maybe where you should be steering your application to as far as timelines go. Again, as the presentation unfolds, hopefully this will come together in a little more clarity for you. A few key dates just to log in your calendars now. So applications opened on Friday, so they're currently open. Applications close on Sunday, the 7th of April at 11:59 p.m. So that gives you that whole final weekend if you're a crammer and you want to do your application at the very end. Then you have until the end of Sunday to get that into us. We go into the assessment process on the back of that, and applicants will be notified kind of mid to late July at the latest. We'll plan to get them done as quickly as possible. It obviously depends on how many applications we receive. One thing to note though, the late applications will not be considered. So please log that in your calendar that 11:59 p.m. on Sunday the 7th of April is the absolute cutoff. So you've still got quite a bit of time between now and then. We will be having another information session on Wednesday, the 28th of February. If you want to tell friends or collaborators, they might like to register and join up. That'll be from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. On Wednesday, the 28th of Feb. On the back of both of these sessions, we'll be offering some one-on-one support sessions, and that is bookable as well. You'll see on the slide there that you can, you can book that via our try booking site, but I'd steer you just to our website. And obviously you can follow up directly after this if you have specific questions, but we do have limited sessions available for more consultation. Just for some context, we thought we'd share some of our, some of our successful or unsuccessful Fuse Fund projects for 2024. So these are artists that have applied in 2023 for a 2024 presentation. You can find out more about these artists via our website, which is fusedarabin.com.au. I'll go through them just very briefly here. So a beautiful project by Zena Cumston called Return. That will take place later as part of our Fuse Spring presentation. Jolt Arts, the Jolted Fuse. Jolt Arts is an organisation based here in Northcote, and they'll be presenting a series of events through Jolt Arts. Oliver Ayres, I'm Ready to Talk Now. This is a development. So Oliver's development will take place a little earlier in 2024, outside of the spring presentation. And then we have the North Preston Lifesaving Club presenting Out of Order, which is a group exhibition of contemporary artists that they will curate, and that will be held at North Preston Lifesaving Club in Preston. Again, more information, you can find more information about these projects through our website, and obviously stay tuned to our channels as we announce these projects. So the criteria around Fuse Fund 2025. We support arts and cultural projects that culminate in a presentation or event which must take place within the city of Darebin, be suitable for inclusion in the Fuse program, and it must be completed in 2025. Again, you can refer back to what we were just talking about in regards to whether you're applying for a development or a presentation. Both of those must be completed in 2025. A couple of notes, the following will not be supported: events and projects that are not arts or cultural in nature, fundraisers and neighbourhood street parties. That's not an exhaustive list, just an example of some things that won't be supported. If you have any questions around your application, again, always reach out and we can kind of clarify whether it's a suitable application or not. Another point that's worth noting is when thinking about your application and putting your budget together, your most you're most welcome to present or work within council venues, but the Fuse Fund cannot be used to pay for the hire of council venues. If you were to use a council venue for your performance or your show, your development, the fee associated with that venue would have to come out of a different budget, a different kind of pot of cash. It can't be factored in as part of your budgeting for the Fuse Fund specifically. Again, if you need clarification around that, you can follow up with some questions directly with us. A few obligations around what happens if you're a successful applicant. You'll need to provide a proof of quote or a tentative booking or initial conversation with a venue. And that venue relationship is very much your responsibility. We can assist, like we have limited capacity to kind of assist with brokering or facilitating conversations with venues. But again, it's limited as far as how much we can help you with that. It's very much your responsibility. You'll need to sign an artist contract within 2 weeks of successful application. The artist contract would be sent out to you very quickly. There's nothing you need to do specifically. We action everything. So if you're a successful applicant, we send you required documents to sign and give you cutoff dates as far as when these things are due. You'll need to have public liability insurance. This can be the cause of confusion for some people and a cause of stress for some people. PLI, public liability insurance, is actually quite a simple process. If you don't have it and you're unsure, we can help and steer you towards the people to speak to secure public liability insurance. It's actually not that expensive either. So please don't see it as a hurdle to get over. It's a formality and it's quite a simple process and not actually that expensive. You must adhere to Fuse Code of Conduct and terms and conditions, including first right of refusal for any developments. Just a little bit about that. Again, this can be the cause of concern for some people, specifically with developments. If you are applying for a development, first right of refusal basically means that if Fuse funds your development, we request that you come back to us when you're ready to deliver or present that project in its finished form, that you would come to us and offer it to us first for consideration in Fuse programming. We may not have capacity to present or program you, in which case we will then release you into the greater world where you can go and pursue other opportunities. But the first right of refusal is very much about relationship building. If we support you through a development, we request that you bring it to us first. You must prepare a COVID-19 scenario plan. We'll speak more to this in a moment. This is just pretty common. It's just basically you need a contingency plan should a COVID outbreak or really anything kind of where the COVID-19 kind of affects your ability to present. So we just need to see that you've thought about that and you have mapped out a plan to deal with that scenario arising. You must meet the requirements of council's event permission process, only if applicable, and that's something again that can be quite complex or feel like a hurdle for some people. You can just talk to us directly and we can help steer you in the right direction if an event permission is required. We request that you provide up to 10 complimentary tickets for us to use if it is a ticketed event. You need to meet the minimum access requirements when presenting, where applicable, including the use of captioning and vision description of any video or social media posts, a willingness to allow your show event to be Auslan interpreted. That's something that we can help you out with as far as cost goes. That wouldn't come out of your budget, that would come out of our budget. And consider offering an audio described or relaxed performance. These are things that you can consult with us about if you have any kind of questions or confusion, or want to understand what your obligations might be around that. Also, we request that you attend a debrief meeting on successful delivery of your project, and obviously submit a grant acquittal. Again, for people new to the grant process, young artists, emerging artists, people that are just new to this process of applying for funding through council or government, there are certain kind of points that you must hit. So one of these is a grant acquittal, which basically is a summary justifying where the money went, showing us proof of your project, etc. Again, we can go through that in more detail with you if you have any confusion. It's all very straight ahead, but in these initial stages for people new to this process, it can feel quite overwhelming. Please don't let it be overwhelming for you. It's a very straight ahead process, and we're here to help you at all times. So support. Fuse can offer some additional support, and we can provide that in the following ways. Producing consultation up to 3 meetings, so that's consultations with us as producers. Production consultation of up to 3 meetings. If you require it, that's within our production team. Publicity and marketing consultations, 2 meetings, that's with our wonderful publicity and marketing team. We can organise photography for the purposes of marketing and publicity, as well as documentation. Again, that's something that we can organise for you. That goes along with being a successful applicant. One thing to note is that if you are having a ticketed event, that you must administer your own ticket sales, and we recommend human ticks for that. Again, if you're new to this process, we're here to help. Feel free to reach out. Some of these things feel like obstacles or feel complex to navigate. They're really not. It's often just a case of us steering you to the right resources, and we can clearly kind of outline how the process around that. So it's not a big problem. So in your application, you should make clear how your arts and cultural project or event is suitable for the Fuse program, how your arts and cultural project or event aligns with Fuse's core values. So you can refer to the guidelines there. You can look at our website and the application. The following will be prioritised. Following applications will be prioritised. Applications from artists or community organisations from our priority communities are Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people, people who are deaf or with a disability, culturally and linguistically diverse communities, young people and older people, all women and girls, LGBTQIA+ people, and residents and those on low incomes or experiencing socioeconomic disadvantage. Applications from artists or community organisations with a demonstrated history of delivering arts or cultural projects or events of excellent quality. Just to clarify that, obviously, you know, we love to work with people who have a proven track record of delivering amazing events that bring a lot of value to the city of Darebin, and that align with our values. But please, for new applicants, people who are young, emerging, or have never applied for grants before, maybe you felt like it hasn't applied to you or that you don't qualify for some reason, please know that this doesn't omit you from the application project, and your application will be assessed based on its merit. As a new applicant, someone that's never applied for funding before, we strongly urge you present your idea. If you feel like it's appropriate to apply for Fuse, then put your application in. Yeah, we want new ideas. We want emerging artists, not just established artist organizations. This is about kind of creating a platform for new voices, new vision, and new ideas to bring into the Fuse family, and also to present a platform within the city of Darebin. So whilst we want to make a note that we we love to prioritize. We have a priorities list. It doesn't exclude everyone else. We just need you to be clear on what our values are and where we steer our how we steer Fuse Fund. So just a little bit about risk management, compliance, and insurance. There's some documentation required around this, so you need to consider a risk management plan for your project. What is the audience experience and how you're ensuring the safety and that of your artist and creative team? You may need to prepare a supporting risk assessment plan. Again, this is something you can talk to us about. We're happy to kind of help you. Some of this stuff can feel more overwhelming than what it actually is. Again, it's just about making sure that you understand what your obligations are, steering your attention to maybe some things you've never thought of before. In regards to venue compliance, so, there's lots of little DIY, little galleries and stuff around. If you're presenting in a venue and you're a little unsure, you need to talk to us first. It's your responsibility to ensure that the venue has the required operating permits and are compliant with all applicable regulations. Obviously, any kind of licensed venues and established businesses and stuff, there's no problem there. Council venues, there's no problem. But anything where you're dealing with little startups and little DIY spaces, you just need to make sure that you're adhering to your responsibilities around attaining proof that they are that you can safely deliver your project in that space. Again, speak to us if you have questions or concerns. Just a little bit on PLI again, so public liability insurance. You'll need to hold your own PLI of up to 20 million bucks. It's a huge figure. Don't let it concern you. It's a really simple process to set yourself up with public liability insurance. It's a yearly fee and it's actually a very, very small fee. From memory, I think when I took it out, it was about $100 for the year. So don't quote me on that, but we can certainly steer you towards people that can help you with that. And it's basically an overnight approval process. You also may need to present a working with children check where applicable. So just a little on COVID-19 and possible change to your project. We'd just like to see that you have a plan should anything like COVID-19 come in and potentially take out members of your team. We want to know that you've developed a scenario plan detailing how your project could be reshaped to continue on, and so it won't really disrupt your presentation or development if something like that should happen. Again, if you're any concern around that, you can just talk to us directly. If you are to be a successful, one of our successful artists for 2025, a couple of things you need to know: that there will be an acquittal due 1 month after your project. As I said before, an acquittal is just basically, it's like a reporting process where you go through and you speak to what the project was, how it went, maybe how it differed from your application. Justify your budget. We need to see. That's why it's important to keep invoices and receipts, etc. It's all very clearly outlaid in the Smarty Grants platform. Again, there's this is something you can talk to us about if you have any concerns. It would be really good, and something to note, which I found in the past as well, is just to document everything along the way. So strong documentation of the process and project will really help you when it comes to doing the acquittal. Photographs, obviously invoices, anything around budgeting, video notes. If you're kind of almost creating like an artist diary, or if you're a curator, you're kind of creating like a log of how your project's unfolding. All of that can really help you when it comes to the acquittal, so you're not relying on memory. Make sure you keep really good calendar entries and really good documentation. Again, if you need some support, happy to kind of jump in and help you there. So how to apply: applications for Fuse Fund are submitted online via our Smarty Grants portal, and all links, including our 2025 guidelines, can be found on the Fuse Darebin website, which is www.fusedarebin.com.au. Everything will link from our website. In order to submit an application, you will need to create an account with Smarty Grants. A very simple process. Again, if you have any concerns or anything about that, you can talk to us, and Jen is in the session now. She may be able to answer any questions you have. Just in regards to the application process, you can save drafts as you go. So if you're like, this is a big process, I'm not going to do it in one session, don't worry. You can do it as you go. You might just want to do an initial dump of ideas in there. My recommendation is to do your drafting in a separate document and then look at what those windows are and the word counts in Smarty Grants, and make sure you do that in draft form before you bring everything over. If you were to draft in Smarty Grants and you realize that you've written a really, really long project outline, and the project outline might be substantial, the word limit might be substantially shorter, it can be a real pain in the butt when you do that. So my advice is to work out a drafting process for yourself, but do that in response to the outlines per window. So what I've done in the past is usually just look at each question. If it's content required, copy and paste the question from Smarty Grants and the word count or the character count and put that in a separate document, and make sure you're always referring to that. It'll make the process much smoother for you. So when you get in to do your Smarty Grants application, you can basically kind of copy and paste the content in there. And you can save as a draft, come back to it the next day or the next week. Again, any questions, just ask. You can reach out to us. Just a bit about how we assess. So we look at whether the project or event idea is suitable for the Fuse program. Things are a score out of 5. It'll be assessed by, internally assessed by a group of assessors. And each project or each application will be assessed on merit based on what you see here on screen. So is the project or event idea suitable for the Fuse program? What extent does the project or event align with the core values of Fuse? I highly recommend at all times going back when you're writing your application, go back and look at what are the core values and what are the outline, what is Fuse. Just really try and think about how your project might fit in with the Fuse core values and the Fuse vision. To what extent is or does the individual or community group seeking the funds, does it fit into our priority groups? Just look at those priority groups, think about where you sit. All of this kind of adds into the strength of the application. Does the artist or community organisation have a history of delivering projects or events of excellent quality? This ties into what I was talking about before. Are you an established artist that's put on a ton of great events, whether it be through Fuse or not? Do you have a history of doing this? That can really kind of boost your application, but it does. But if you're not that and you're a new artist, it doesn't exclude you either. So please don't let some of these things, the language around established and proven track records, be a deterrent if you're a young emerging artist or just someone new to the grant space. And is your project or event viable? I know, lots of people assess grants in different ways. Some people go straight to the budget and they look to see if the budget is a viable budget. Does it make sense? Some people will look at the quality of the project first and say, does this project excite me? Do I feel excited? Does it feel like something that I want to support? People have different ways of assessing projects. I would highly recommend being very clear about how your budget reflects on the project, how your project feeds into the budget. Make sure that make sure you have those two things related. Make sure it's realistic. Make sure you're not, you might have blue sky thinking and you're aiming really big, but you have a really small budget. It's like, if it's not viable, if it doesn't make sense, then it's not going to it's not going to help your project forward. So you're better off just making sure that the two things relate. So just again, grant writing tips, just make sure you check the eligibility to apply. Do you live in the city of Darebin? Do you work in the city of Darebin? Do you study in the city of Darebin? If you have any questions about that, you can get in touch with us. If you're a musician and you mostly work in the city of Darebin, then you work in the city of Darebin. There's other ways to kind of think about what that means, but again, you can refer to the website and refer to the application for that. And if in doubt, you just get in touch with us. Going over what we've spoken about prior, make sure you have evidence of your conversation with the venue you'd like to work with. Think about whether your project's a development or a presentation. Make sure your budget is clear and justified. Again, I spoke to that just before. Always double check your 2025 guidelines, values, and criteria. You just want to make sure that you're being efficient with your time and that you are staying on target. Are you hitting those kind of, is your project suitable? Is it going to get us excited? Does it fit with Fuse kind of the Fuse values and guidelines? The big one with all grants, make sure you have strong support materials, letters of support, confirmation of, if you're going to collaborate with someone really amazing and really famous and they're going to come and kind of help you with your project, make sure you have a letter confirming that. Show us history, show us like images or video or audio, whatever it might be, anything that helps as supporting material for your application. It's really, really, really important that you have good supporting material. Again, you can come to us if you're unsure. That can be via email, via phone, in this session. So my name's Matt Watson. I'm the senior producer here at Fuse. That's my email address. Kenny Waite, who I work alongside with as associate producer. There's Kenny's email address there as well. And Jennifer Worthington from the community grants officer. All of those emails are on screen now. You can just blog it in the chat if you would like to get in touch with us directly. You can find us quite easily online as well. I think that might be the end of our slides. Let's just have a look. It is too. Let's go back there. I'll leave that on screen. So as mentioned at the start, we have limited sessions for one-on-one sessions available. You can book those via the Fuse website. That'll take you through to the booking page. They'll be open after our second info session a little later in February. And that could be helpful to address any of these questions, but you don't have to do it in that time either. You can just do it directly via email or phone. So be sure to log fusedarabin.com.au. My contact is matt.watson@darabin.vic.gov.au. Kenny Waite's email address is kenny.waite@darabin.vic.gov.au. And Jennifer's email address is jennifer.worthington@darabin.vic.gov.au.